you're talking about, so I feel like it would be a lie to say that I'm prepared when I am in fact not prepared.
Talking about prison breaks.
Oh, I've done a few of those in my time.
You have not.
I have though.
You have never been to prison.
You don't know everything about me.
You've never been to prison.
Don't do illegal shit unless it's breaking out of prison.
Do illegal shit. It's a little funny. Commit to the bit.
No.
There is little in fiction that provides the narrative options that a good prison arc does. Whether it's the high-stakes tension of an escape plan or the deep character development that comes from facing the confines of imprisonment, prison breaks can often offer a wealth of storytelling potential. In a game like Dungeons & Dragons, they can serve as a unique catalyst for character growth and plot development as well. They provide opportunities for players to explore mechanics and strategies that might not ordinarily be used, and are frankly just fun. Plus, the sheer thrill of breaking out against the odds can lead to some of the most memorable moments in your campaign. And this is because prison arcs and breakouts are a core staple of storytelling as a whole. Think of classic stories like The Count of Monte Cristo, where Edmond Dante's imprisonment and escape fuel his quest for vengeance. Or you have something similar like The Shawshank Redemption, which beautifully showcases the human spirit and the longing for freedom. Or even modern tales like The Dark Knight Rises, where Bruce Wayne's escape from the pit leverages the tension and drama of a prison setting to great effect. These stories captivate us because they combine suspense, ingenuity, and the triumph of the human spirit, which are all elements that can translate beautifully into a campaign. Planning a prison arc for your campaign can be the absolute perfect way to begin opening up certain parts of characters that have been needing to be let out, while also allowing the space for character dynamics and tension to be explored that was not previously. And yet, I'm certain any dungeon master worth their salt will already be skeptical for one very specific reason. When have you ever seen a group of players allow themselves to get arrested in order to go into a prison arc? So, while this might be a wonderful scope of exploration, it's a near impossible one to see in a TTRPG campaign. So let's fix that. The first issue and most crucial one to solve early on is how to get players into the actual prison itself, because outside of railroading them, let's be honest, it's unlikely your players will allow themselves to get arrested. The key here is to create a scenario where getting captured is actually the most appealing option. This can be achieved by making the prison itself a central part of the plot, perhaps holding critical information or an important NPC the players need to rescue. Another approach is to frame the arrest as a tactical move on the part of the players, such as getting caught on purpose to infiltrate the prison in the first place. The main point is you want the players to want to go inside. You want it to be appealing to find a way inside in the first place, even if that does mean arrest. Now, this does something important that I think is very clearly important for any type of goal or story or campaign in general, and that's that it encourages the players to trust the Dungeon Master. The largest reason most players don't want to get caught is because the ultimate goal of most campaigns is to have the players be the heroes who overcome all odds. And getting captured feels like the absolute antithesis of this. If you are to assume that the Dungeon Master wants the party to succeed, then you cannot present with them something where they must fail, because there is a straight up incongruent understanding of the story at that point. The players assume you are trying to lead them one way while you are trying to lead them the other. That is why making it an actual goal to get inside the prison, whether through arrest or otherwise, is actually crucial for this type of story arc to be achieved. You need to make sure that the players know, hey, I'm on your side. I want to tell the coolest story possible. I want you to succeed. And this is a fun portion of the story.
What are you gonna do now?
We surrender!
You can chain my body, but you will never chain my warrior spirit.
And just telling them that outside of the game is boring, but making it a clear portion of the story very clearly communicates what the intention is with the players in the first place. And this can be achieved by tying the prison to something the players care deeply about, such as rescuing a beloved ally or uncovering a crucial piece of the puzzle. The prison could also be rumored to hold a powerful artifact or secret knowledge, or the players just need to progress in their quest and go there. By making the prison an enticing target, you turn the challenge of getting captured into a strategic decision rather than the forced plot point it might be otherwise. You also have to understand that your players will inherently be nervous about this, because unless they figured out alternative ways of getting into the prison, which is a valuable option, mind you, it means they're going to have to give up their gear, armor, and weapons. This loss of resources can be a significant concern for any adventuring party, as it leaves them vulnerable and less capable of handling threats, almost as if you've put them in an unwinnable situation. To mitigate this, you can provide hints or opportunities for them to smuggle in critical items or use their environment creatively. Reassuring them that there will be ways to recover their gear or find new tools within the prison that can help them will ease that anxiety.
All right. Anybody else have a knife? Getting warmer? How many of those things you got?
How many you need?
Of course, this also forces you to consider something incredibly crucial. How intense is this prison, and how unique are your players in the world? You gotta ask yourself, is magic common? Will the guards expect your player characters to have the abilities they do? Or is what they do unique enough to slip by unnoticed? These factors will significantly influence how the prison is structured and how the guards interact with the prisoners in the first place. If magic is common, the prison will probably have an anti-magic field, or specialized guards trained to handle magical threats. On the other hand, if your players' abilities are rare, they might be able to use their skills to their advantage, slipping past security measures that just simply weren't aware of what they could do. I imagine something easily attempted, such as hiding a weapon or wand, will be crucial for your players. Regardless of what the prison is ready for, I almost guarantee someone's going to try this. They might be more creative than that, such as a druid taking the gear and wild shaping to hide it and trying to fly in as an insect with the gear they need behind the rest of the party. These creative solutions not only add depth to the prison scenario in the first place, they really allow your players to feel unique and like their abilities are important for this scenario. Either way, I would honestly make certain that you are encouraging your players to think outside the box, to come up with plans that leverage their strengths. Whether it's using the rogue sleight of hand to conceal lockpicks or the sorcerer casting spells subtly, the possibilities are endless, and they really are very fun if you let them be. But it also poses an interesting concept of potentially exploring unique mechanics that might come up that don't usually in casual play. After all, if you consider that bards can use instruments as a spellcasting component, then you start to ask yourself, in a prison where those components were removed, are they capable of using something else unique as an instrument instead? This challenge can lead to creative problem solving, such as using mundane objects like a spoon or tapping rhythms on cell bars to cast spells in the first place. These scenarios not only push the players to adapt and think creatively, but also allow them to explore aspects of their character's abilities that they might not typically use in the first place. Honestly, it's an opportunity to deepen the gameplay and bring out versatility and ingenuity in each of the characters that wouldn't have been there before. But this is all mechanics-based stuff and logistical as well. I think the true allure of this kind of story has been ignored up until this point. And that story is what it might end up telling about the characters, their conditions, and the outside world as a whole. But before we get to that, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Wicked Warlock. Wicked Warlock is a small fantasy candle brand started by a fellow fantasy buff who was tired of the same old boring candles that you find in retail stores. They wanted exclusive scents tailored for the hardcore fantasy fans like us. These candles are handmade in small batches specifically for immersive tabletop role-playing games and the sessions that you run. You just pick your location, light the candle, and the candle will have a scent associated with wherever it is the new location that your party is traveling. It's not just for games either. These candles are great for more immersive video games, watching movies, reading, writing, basically anything you'd want to set a candle for. The candles smell very good, and even your partner will love them, probably. My wife is actually a candle aficionado. She has a lot of opinions on candles in general, and she had immediate feedback about these candles the moment she came in, and we still ended up using them all throughout the house. So I think that is a great advertisement for a great benefit, a compliment. I don't know.
I wasn't paid to be a part of this sponsorship.
You heard it here first. She is not a part of Player Role. It's just me. She's not a part of it. She just quit on the spot in front of us during an ad spot.
They're good candles.
Great endorsement. Endorsement! That's the word I was looking for. With double the fragrance concentration compared to regular candles, they fill the room with stronger scents without causing headaches. Each candle burns for 40 hours, so it's perfect for use in tons of different adventures. Each one is made with natural coconut and soy wax, and they offer a clean burn. And they also use an extra thick wood wick that crackles when burnt to add that extra ambience with the wonderful sound. Get up to 21% off Wicked Warlock's best-selling candles with the link in the description. And now back to the video. Now, like I said, all of this information has been great up into this point, but I really do think it ignores a very crucial part of why this is a very fun arc to talk about, and that's the character development. One of my favorite episodes in all of Avatar: The Last Airbender is the episode where Zuko and Sokka go to try and break certain individuals outside of prison. I'm going to avoid specific details because I have no desire to put a spoiler warning in this video after being told that I should be anamorphed into a squirrel myself and become an eldritch horror, so we're avoiding that for this one. I put one squirrel somewhere in this video and I'm not gonna tell you where it is. But in this episode, Zuko and Sokka bond while attempting to go save these individuals, and it is some of the most fun that you get to see. Not only that, it also shows things about these characters that you would not have seen before. I actually am gonna spoil it a little bit now that I realize that. I don't care. I'm not putting a spoiler warning. If you haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, that's your problem. It's a good show, and I watched it when I was really young. That's your fault.
Hey.
What?
I didn't watch it till I was 19, and you had to force me to watch it.
Yeah, and did you like it?
Yeah, but some people may be younger.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
What's their excuse?
They could have been sheltered and told everything was Wiccan.
I was homeschooled. I wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter.
Okay.
I watched it. No excuses.
I was allowed to watch Twilight and Harry Potter, but I wasn't allowed to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Ooh, fancy pants Rich McGee over here. You? What was I talking about? In the episode itself, one of the portions that is meant to keep the firebenders contained is a massive freezer that then, well, freezes everybody who's there to keep them under wraps. In this episode, Zuko is put into this specifically because he causes issues in order to help along the mission. And he uses his own breathing techniques taught to him by his uncle in order to show that he is strong enough to survive through this and that he can handle it. This is a very hardcore and really cool portion of Zuko we wouldn't have seen if they were not put into these scenarios. Not only this, we get to see a different side of Sokka. He's always been very smart, but he is extremely cunning and, well, very well versed in the way that the prison works pretty quickly. It shows his ability to adapt in a way we wouldn't have seen before. So too, do prison arcs do this for pretty much any character. When you put them in a confined space with only a small amount of things to interact with, they are forced to be creative and show portions of themselves that were not there before. And that is cool. And not only that, prisons also are known for a very specific thing: keeping criminals contained. And if your group is put into a prison, you know what that means? An opportunity for a cameo from a previous villain within the campaign, or even better, an opportunity for a potential team up with them. And that in itself is extremely fun. I honestly don't feel like I need to expand on that at all. If you have the opportunity to do that and you haven't done that, I feel like you just missed out on something really fun and a perfect anti-villain story. So I don't know how to help you. I think that's just a really cool concept. And then lastly, when it comes to understanding how prison arcs can help characters, it also shows an acceptance of weaknesses. Like I mentioned before, you're gonna lose your gear when doing this sort of thing, or at the very least, you will be confined and contained in one way or another. You will not have access to the full range of things that you could do. And the true show of how influential, how smart, how creative, how powerful, how worthy an individual is will oftentimes come down to the pressure of not having options. When you contain a character within the pressure of a prison system, they have no choice but to show who they truly are. And I think that's very fun. A character who has always relied on magic that no longer can do so except in very specific small areas of the prison where they might be able to step outside of the anti-magic field will have to prove that they are more than their magic. They are their wits and their trust in their teammates. So too with any of the other characters. And honestly, these kind of arcs can do a wonder to help the martial characters prove how incredible they are. When they are faced with a bunch of magic enemies or constantly fight alongside their magical allies, it could be difficult for them to show how amazing they are. But in a prison, they're the ones with all the skills. And I think that's really cool and a great opportunity for them to step up and show what they are capable of. But with all this being said, we've talked about how to get the party into the prison. We've talked about how the prison could be used for a really cool way. But now, we gotta talk about the most important part. Let's talk about the prison breakout. Put the hey everybody riot scene after that because that's a great scene and I like it a lot.
But we need a riot. You wouldn't happen to know how to start one, would you?
A prison riot? Please. Hey! Riot!
Now, when it comes to writing breakout scenes or prison breakouts in general, there's a usually understood rule when it comes to fiction. And that is the fact that if the party tells on camera or to the actual reader that they're going to break out in a certain way, that plan just won't work. There will be complications, there will be issues, etc. However, if they tell this off screen or not directly to the reader, there's a chance that their plan goes by flawlessly, but seems like it might not work because that's exciting. Now, this is just a general understanding of how the trope works. And if you want a great breakdown of it, I would suggest going and watching Overly Sarcastic Productions and seeing their prison breakout episode, which was almost half of the research for this episode in general, so please go watch it. It's a fantastic video. But in this video, they talk about the fact that this is not really a trope, it's just an understanding of how storytelling works. There must be tension, and if you tell the audience what the plan is, then something has to go wrong. That's the only way to create tension. But if the party doesn't know what the plan is, then the tension is simply there and wondering what it is that they're going to do. TTRPGs don't have that option, because the players are going to figure out their plan in front of the DM. And if they're going to walk into a different room and try and plan outside of that, I think maybe we have an adversarial DM problem. And this is coming from somebody who used to have players who would walk out of rooms to come up with plans while I wasn't listening. So I do get it, but also you're there to make them the heroes of the stories and have a great story. So don't try and be adversarial to them. That being said, more than likely, they're gonna discuss their plan at the table. So how do you go about this? How do you create the tension? Well, I'm sure a lot of you have already figured it out. It's the dice. The dice are what add the tension because it doesn't matter how well laid their plans are, the dice are going to decide it. And that's a problem, because if you have them roll too much, it becomes just a constant rolling of dice to hope you get the right number to get out. And if you roll too little, it's gonna go too smoothly. So what do? My suggestion is to listen to their plan thoroughly and plan out 4 or 5 rolls that they're going to have to make. Whether it is the rogue saying that at some point they're going to distract the guard, then they'll have to make a performance check. Or the druid saying they're going to try and break through a wall, well then they're gonna have that athletics check. Make sure you have those rolls planned out and ready while listening to the player's plan to break out. However, and this is something that you may not agree with, and that's fine, this is just how I run my games, you must not allow them to fully fail. And the reason I say this is if they fail to break out of the prison, any subsequent breakout is going to seem unrealistic because they tried once, they failed, and now the prison's gonna let them try again? I don't think so. And not only that, it halts the story. It's not helping you progress forward. And that's not exciting either. So what do? My suggestion is come with 2 outcomes prepared. One is if the plan goes perfect. Know what's going to happen if their plan goes off without a hitch, they manage to figure it out, they circumvent any, wrenches thrown into their plan, and they get to go out. And 2 is the plan will succeed, but with a great cost. Maybe one of the party members gets left behind. Maybe one of the NPC allies dies. Maybe they lose their gear. Have the second portion prepared for if they fail their rolls, they should still be allowed to escape because that's the purpose of this. But something may be lost in the process. And that's good storytelling, in my opinion. But as the players create their plan, make sure to let them be creative. Let them enjoy what they're doing. Let them use their skills. Let them feel like the cool heroes planning a heist, because that's what they're doing, and they should be allowed to do all of that. But don't let it go too perfectly, too smoothly. And what I mean by that is not to make them fail their roles, but throw wrenches in their plan. No plan is perfect. And so when somebody fails a roll, don't just immediately say you failed, you're done. Have a complication set out. Make sure the warden shows up or one of the guards notices or the alarms go off, and then have them have to plan around that. The excitement of a prison breakout is the difficulties that come and how the players solve those issues. That is what you should be focusing on, but at the end of the day, they should get out. It's just a matter of what they lost by doing so. And I ultimately feel like that's the most fun way to run these types of arcs, to have this type of story, to let your players enjoy that. Because there are so many times we watch these movies and we think they're super fun, but it's hard to run in a TTRPG campaign. But I hope with all the things that I listed out, you could find a solution and really, really enjoy it. So go out into the world, make it your own. Don't forget to play a role and listen to my wife as she gives the call to action.
Like, comment, subscribe. But the other link in our bio, because at the end of June, or by the end of June, if the family is fully supported, we will do a face reveal of me. And heartbreak is one thing, ego is another. My ego, specifically. Don't embarrass me, you motherfucker. Bye, y'all!
Bye.